As we talked about yesterday on the program, the Louisiana legislature, my home state, they are in a historic override session to override a veto of Democratic Governor John Bel Edwards. Hasn't happened since we ratified this Constitution in 1974. Well, earlier today in the Senate passed the Fairness in Women's Sports Act with the necessary 26 votes to override Governor John Bel Edwards, who, like Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota, vetoed that common sense bill. It now goes to the House, where they're 2 votes short, potentially, of the override. So if you live in Louisiana, here's the action item for you. Call your state representative. And here's the number. It's 225-342-6945. Know that by heart. 225-342-6945 to call your state representative and encourage him to override the governor's veto of the Fairness in Women's Sports Act. So act now. They're going to be moving very, very soon. Again, that number, 225-342-6945. Okay. The Biden administration is stepping up their efforts to pressure social media giants to censor those who would question big government's approach to the coronavirus and vaccines. Here's a clip of what the White House press secretary Jen Psaki had to say last week.
In terms of actions, Alex, that we have taken, or we're working to take, I should say, from the federal government, we've increased disinformation research and tracking within the Surgeon General's office. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation.
Okay, so they're now working with Facebook to flag what they call disinformation. I mean, where will this end? We're going to talk about that. Also, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee is reportedly putting language into the annual National Defense Authorization Act, which is the NDAA, that would require women to register for the draft. Now, the National Defense Authorization Act is one of the few must-pass pieces of legislation that usually moves forward despite the political rancor in Washington. With me now to talk about all of this is Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler, a member of the House Armed Services Committee. She represents the 4th Congressional District of Missouri. Congresswoman Hartzler, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you, Tony. It's great to be here.
All right, I want to start with this topic of big government teaming up with big tech to silence the voices of those who simply may question what government is doing.
Well, big tech certainly didn't need any encouragement from the federal government. I mean, they have been silencing and censoring speech for too long now. And now we have the Biden administration jumping on and encouraging them to further censor Americans. And that is a violation of our First Amendment rights. And certainly when you're talking about these vaccines, this is a very, very serious issue where Americans should have the ability and the platform to discuss whatever their thoughts are about this vaccine, to share information that they have, maybe anecdotal evidence and examples of family members and how the different vaccines have impacted them. And it should not be up to the government, or certainly these social media companies, to determine, well, this is worthy of having information that Americans can listen to and learn about. And well, this information, they don't need to hear about it and they don't deserve to have that. So we're just going to squelch it. This is a very slippery slope, and it's a very scary road that we are going down now with big tech, trampling on the rights of Americans and their First Amendment speech ability to express themselves.
Last Friday, I had a lawyer on just discussing a lawsuit against the District of Columbia, where the schools there are putting in these vaccination clinics in the schools where children can be vaccinated with the COVID shot without parental notification. They don't. It doesn't go onto their medical record. It will circumvent parental notification. They'll bill the parents' insurance. They just won't tell them about it. I didn't take a position, and I haven't taken a position for or against the vaccine. I think it's up to people to make the decision based upon the health situation or risk that they face. It's their decision. But they YouTube struck our video, took it off, and warned us that if we do this again, we could be knocked off permanently off of YouTube. This is the kind of stuff that's coming from the Biden administration challenging big tech to become more aggressive in anyone who would speak anything counter to what this administration is doing.
It's chilling. It is truly chilling. As a mom and a former teacher, I think you're sharing the information about what is going on here in the schools in DC is spot on. Parents need to know this is going on. It's scary to think that they would be pushing these vaccines without the parents knowing about it. I'm with you. I think it should be up to each individual to get all the medical information out there, the pros and cons, talk to their doctor. It's up to each family to have that important discussion and make that decision. But it should not be done behind closed doors with our children. And the thought that they would pull that commentary about that and where you expose this is very chilling, very concerning.
So, Congresswoman Hartzler, I know the bottom line to this, how do we address it? It starts with elections. We have to have enough common sense mind that, some members of Congress who have enough common sense to realize we should not allow big tech to silence the voices of Americans. We're not there right now. So in the meantime, what do we do to protect our First Amendment freedoms?
I think just look at any and every opportunity that you have where you can speak your voice. And there still is good old newspapers and letters to the editor. And I'm always encouraging people at home, write letters to the editor. We certainly have emails and text messages where we can share with our friends and our neighbors about what is going on. But here in Congress, we are looking at Section 230 and removing these liability protections that big tech have right now so that individuals can't sue. There is no right. There's no way to act if they do take away your voice. And so we're going to keep pursuing, looking at legislation to try to fix this. But in the meantime, I just think we have to be creative and look outside the box and try to get our message out any other way we can.
And by all means, use our voice because we
Yes.
preserve it by using it, even in the face of opposition. Congresswoman Hartzler, I want to shift gears a little bit. Senate Democrats are reportedly proposing a sweeping rewrite of the military draft laws aimed at requiring women to register for the selective service with the selective service system that could lead to them being drafted. This is coming from the chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Jack Reed. This is something you've worked on the the House Armed Services Committee as a member. This will come before your committee. What do you think the prospects are here? How do we stop this?
Well, I think it's just one-on-one. First of all, looking and seeing, is there a need? I mean, the purpose of the Armed Services Committee is to make sure that our nation has what it needs to be safe and secure and that our military is the strongest in the world. So I think first we have to look big picture and say, is there really a need to do this? And I say no. We have an all-volunteer force right now that is fantastic. It is made up of men and women, volunteers who step up and they say, we want to serve our country. And we have women currently serving. About 16.5% of our military is women, and they are doing amazing, courageous work in our military in all areas, in all branches. But I think that just is a testimony that we have a system that works right now, all volunteer. And I encourage anybody that wants to serve, they can sign up. Right. But even if you were to have a conflict, you got about 2.5 million individuals serving now in the military, and say you needed to double that, say we needed 5 million people. We would only need a little over 1% of the men who had signed up in the draft to actually get into the service to bring us up to those numbers. So I think this is a solution in search of a problem. There really isn't a problem here. And I feel confident if we do get into a conflict, that Americans, both men and women, will step up and want to serve. That's what we always have done. So I don't think that this is needed.
I agree with you. I'm grateful for the women that want to serve, and if they want to serve, they have the right to do that, and I applaud them. But I don't think they should be mandated. I don't think we should rely on be a country that relies on women to serve and protect us. being mandated to do so. My concern is that with all of the policy changes, we may not be able to meet the recruitment levels because of what we're doing to our military, making it a hostile environment to people of faith, so that a few years down the road, we may have to draft women. And that's a position I don't want us to be in. Congresswoman Hartzler, we're out of time. I want to thank you for joining us. As always, great to talk with you, and thank you for the outstanding work you do on Capitol Hill.
Well, you're welcome. It's great to be here. Thanks.